Emotional involvement with your want is the desire. What do you want? There is one quality which one must possess to win, and that is definiteness of purpose, the knowledge of what one wants, and a burning desire to possess it. It's been said that desire is the effort of an unexpressed possibility within, seeking expression without through our action. Let me repeat that. Desire is the effort of the unexpressed possibility within, seeking expression without through our action. Now the trick here, how do we get it within? Do you know, I have heard, and you've probably heard, many sales managers, vice presidents of sales, if we could only build desire. And they say it as if they can't. The truth is, they can. You will never desire something you don't want. You will not desire it. If you're going to build desire, and desire is really the yeast that raises the dough, make no mistake about that. It's what really fuels the engine. The desire has to be there, and it has to be strong, and you can build it, and then you can add power to it. But you have to understand how your mind functions. And if you don't understand how your mind functions, the understanding of desire is going to escape you. And that's what happens with most people. They never really focus. They never develop the desire because they make the wrong decisions. Now think, when you're going after something you want, the only prerequisite, we've already covered this in decision, is do I want it? If you want it, bang, like that, you're going to make a decision to get it. Now, at that point, it's something you want. Wants are just resident in our conscious mind. They're not in our subconscious. They're in our conscious mind. It's something we see on the screen of our mind. We build an image of it. We're told to build images. We're told to build a crystal clear image in our conscious mind of what it is we want. We've often been told to write it out. I've mentioned that to many people. Describe it in as much detail as you can and in the present tense. Present tense is vital. You see, if you study this long enough, you're going to realize that's all we've ever got. There isn't any past. There isn't any future. That's all an illusion. They're myths. Conscious mind, present tense. You've got to see what you want. Now, the trick is you've got to take the idea from your conscious mind of the want, and you've got to deposit it in the treasury of your subconscious mind. I did not originate that idea. William James did. I just love using it. He said, deposit it in the treasury of your subconscious mind, because that's where all the power lies. Well, how do we do this? Well, first of all, I think we have to review just who we are and what we are, how we function. You know, why can we accomplish so much? And in a short period of time, why can we go from struggling to winning? How does this happen? There is a way, and it all comes with understanding. First of all, realize that the reflection coming back from the mirror is really not you. That's your body. The body is the instrument of the mind, as magnificent as it is. And we study the body all of our life and never completely understand it, but it's just the instrument of the mind. We have to understand something about the mind. Most people do not understand the mind. No one has ever seen the mind. So trying to understand the mind when we haven't got any image of it, it's almost impossible. There was a doctor in San Antonio, Texas, understood that, Dr. Thurman Fleet. He was very involved in the healing hearts way back around 1934. And he said, you know, all problems originate in the mind, and he said they express themselves in the body. So when we treat a problem in the body, we're treating a symptom or we're treating an effect. We're not treating the cause of the problem. You got to go to the mind. Well, most people, when they think of the mind, instantly they get a picture of the brain. But the brain isn't your mind any more than your foot or your elbow. The brain is part of the body, as magnificent as it is, and make no mistake about it. It's not the mind. It's an expression of the mind as the rest of the body is. The brain is actually an electronic switching station. As you activate brain cells, your mind activates brain cells, you set up different vibrations. You move yourself into a different vibration. You're going to move into the vibration that the good that you desire is on. It's on that frequency. But that's going down the road a little ways. We're talking about desire now. So what do? The conscious mind has the ability to accept or reject. And this good doctor said, I'm going to make a picture of the mind, and he drew a circle. And he put a line across the center. He said the circle represents the mind. The line across the center is the dividing line from the conscious to the subconscious. Now, is that the way it is? No, it's not the way it is. Nobody knows the way it is in an image. This is one he made, and he made it, and it's a marvelous idea. Then he put a little circle in the bottom. He says that's the body. Now, it's what's going on in the big circle that dictates what's going to go on in the small circle. So let's take a look at the conscious mind. If you're a psych major, you know the conscious mind reasons inductively and deductively, either way, both ways. The subconscious does not. The subconscious is totally deductive. It's also immoral. It doesn't care what you plan. It has no ability to differentiate between good and bad. It cannot differentiate between what's real and what's imagined. So you can just imagine something and put it in your subconscious mind. Subconscious mind will accept it. Nothing's ridiculous. All things are possible. It's like planting something in the earth. The earth is immoral. I love the way Earl Nightingale explained it on his Strangest Secret recording. He said, you can plant corn, a sweet food. Not a 16th of an inch away, you can plant nightshade, a deadly poison. One will come up with just as great an abundance as the other. Well, that's the way the subconscious mind works. Now, what we've got to understand is that the conscious mind originates the ideas. Then the subconscious mind has to put that idea in the subconscious mind. However, there's a problem. The subconscious mind has been pre-programmed. It's been pre-programmed before you were even born. As a matter of fact, the subconscious mind begins to be programmed at the moment of conception. Now, we may be going a long way off track here to explain desire, but I think it's necessary. Where did you come from? Well, a little energy from mom, a little from dad, come along, and they joined. That formed the nucleus of you. All mom's DNA is in there, all dad's DNA. Where did mom's come from? Well, from her mother and dad. Where did they come from? Well, from their parents. So you see, there's a genetic strain that goes way back. And a lot of it is ridiculous information that's programmed right into the DNA. So here you are, 280 days after the moment of conception, and you make your debut on the planet, then your subconscious mind is wide open. It's white, it's like an empty cup. And you can put anything in it you want, and everything's going in. Have you ever asked yourself why people that go through school, their kids go through school? Do you ever wonder why people that quit school early, their kids usually quit school early? It's programming. It's the programming that's taking place. See, whatever goes into the subconscious mind repeatedly, over and over, becomes fixed there. We're programmed to live the way we live. We're programmed to speak the language we speak. If we took an English-speaking child out of New York and placed him in a suburb of Shanghai, that English-speaking baby, or that baby that came from English-speaking parents, would grow up fluent in Chinese, no knowledge of the English language. And we know that. Now, if we took the child from Shanghai and did the same the other way around, the child would grow up fluent in English, no knowledge of the Chinese language. You see, whatever's going on around a baby programs the baby. Do you know the self-image that we walk around with? We didn't originate that self-image. That self-image was originated when we were infants. The subconscious mind, I said, has no ability to reject. The conscious mind has the ability to accept or reject. Like if you're watching the news, you can say, well, I don't believe that. You know, somebody says there's a recession coming, you think, I'm not going to participate. You know, you don't have to buy any of that. Problem is, we don't question it. Because when we're watching, we're not thinking, our mind is wide open and it's dumping right in. Now, the more we understand how this mind functions, and it's vitally important that we do, the more we're going to understand desire. The better off we're going to be for not only building a desire, but adding power to it. And the only thing that can grow is the thing you give energy to. So we take the thing we want and we polish it in as much detail as possible. Because we know when it goes over to the subconscious got no ability to change it. Whatever you plant, that's what you're going to get. So we build the picture of what we want. We crystallize the picture. We write it out. We rewrite it. And we make sure it's covered in every detail that we can possibly come up with. We do it in as few words as possible. It's not the words, it's the picture. See, every word is a symbol. Every symbol has a corresponding image. Well, when we put the right words together, we build the right image. So we build the image of what we want. I mentioned that I sat down and I took my pen and I said, I'm going to build a company that operates all over the world. Well, I had to see that happening. I had to build it. It was a fantasy, because that's where all goals start. Your want starts out as a fantasy, just sheer fantasy. Then you turn the fantasy into a theory. Now that's a subject in itself that we will get into, but you start to build this picture. Then you mentally let yourself get emotionally involved in it. I read a book a lot, Stella Adler's book, The Art of Acting. Now, I don't want to be an actor. I want to just be a better teacher. But I found out if you're really going to live, you got to act like the person you want to become. She was one of the great acting teachers. She was, just phenomenal acting teacher. She studied under Stanislavski, I believe his name was, who was the Russian acting teacher who originated method acting. The foreword in Stella Adler's book was written by Marlon Brando, who became the first superstar through method acting. And the strange part is Stella Adler never actually wrote a book. She taught lessons. A man named Kissel took all her lessons after she passed on and turned it into a book. It's a fascinating book. So as you read the book, what you're really doing is going to her acting classes. And I would suggest you do that. I watch a couple of movies, and I watch them over and over and over again. One's Patton with George C. Scott. The other is Lawrence Arabia. They're phenomenal movies. These people weren't acting, they were literally living the part. George C. Scott became General Patton. Peter O'Toole became Lawrence of Arabia. And as I watch this, I see how real it is in their mind. You see a scene where Peter O'Toole's on a camel coming across the desert. The camera's right in close on him, and he thinks he's Lawrence. He's acting like the person he wants to become. That's what we have to do. When you build the goal of what you want, you've got to see yourself with it. It's not hoping it happens down the road. It'll always stay down the road. It's got to be now. It's got to be in our subjective mind. Now, you're going to have a problem doing this because the paradigm doesn't want to accept it. The paradigm wants to reject it. It's not in harmony with the paradigm. The paradigm is a program in your subconscious mind. And it's a program that does not want to accept this new part that you're putting in it. Neither will your relatives or your friends or your neighbors. They'll say, who are you trying to kid? What are you acting like that for? They don't want you to change. But I'm going to tell you something. If you want to change your life, you got to change your life. And that's where it starts. It starts by building what you want, and then you've got to let yourself get emotionally involved. So you mentally start living it. You literally become the part. And you've got to do that over and over and over and over again. Ask yourself this question. How many times did your mother call you by name before you ever looked around thinking somebody was calling you? I don't know how many times she called Bob before I ever turned my head, but I knew she didn't just do it once or twice. It was done over and over and over and over again. Repetition is the first law of learning, and our intellect doesn't want to accept it. We say, well, I've already read it once. Read it 10,000 times. See it over and over again. And by doing this and understanding, you're going to hit something called a terror barrier. You're going to get afraid. It's going to stop you. You're going to then think this is ridiculous. I can't do this. And you're going to look at all those 30 reasons Napoleon Hill talked about for failing. They'll all become very vibrant in your mind. Reject them. Get rid of them. Play the game with your mind. Fantasize. Then live it. Become real. And you keep getting emotionally involved. You can do this as you're going to sleep. You can do this as you're driving. You can do it anywhere. But you've got to do it. And it's through the repetition over and over and over again that you will override all that old genetic conditioning. You'll override all that environmental conditioning from when you're a child. And you will start to get emotionally involved with the goal. Don't expect it to happen tomorrow. It won't. You got to do this over and over and over again. See, it's the understanding of the battle that you're up against. Do you know in the movie The Godfather, you see where the Godfather talked to Michael. Michael was the son, of course, and Marlon Brando was the Godfather. And he gave him some advice. There was a contract out by the opposing gang. They were going to kill Michael. And the Godfather said, Michael, learn to think as they think, so you'll know how to overcome it. You've got to learn, how has your programming been done? What is it going to do for you? If you want to know what your programming is going to do for you, just take a look at your past results. Because all your past results are nothing but an expression of somebody else's programming. It has nothing to do with what you know. You already know how to do many times better than you're doing. Knowing how to do it is not the problem. That's information that's gathered in the conscious mind. It's not the conscious mind that controls us. That's the reason why people coming out of school, prestigious degrees, no performance. The results don't match all the knowledge in their mind. Why? It's the paradigm. It's the programming. Genetic and environmental, and it's strong. Well, you've got to go past all that before you'll ever plant what you want. And every time you go to feed it, every time you go to give more energy to it, the paradigm is going to be there trying to kick it out. And it's going to give you very logical reasons why you're being silly. It's going to give you practical reasons why this won't work. And you're going to be listening to your friends, and what they're going to tell you is what you're already thinking. You don't have the money. How are you going to do it? The money's not there. The money will be there when the money has to be there if you hold the image of doing it. How did I build a company that operates all over the world? I don't know how to do it. Hill pointed out some advice from Carnegie that was very, very good. He said the accumulation of great fortunes calls for power. And power is acquired through highly organized and intelligently directed specialized knowledge. But the person who accumulates the fortune doesn't have to have the knowledge. When I first read that, I felt like I just broke out of a prison. I didn't have to know everything. I have some brilliant people that I work with. They know how to do things I'll never learn how to do. You're getting information here. You may never want to teach what I'm teaching you. So you don't have to know how to teach this. You just have to buy into what I'm telling you, know that I'm telling you the truth, and this just works. Quit listening to your neighbors. Quit listening to some of your friends and relatives. They're telling you why you can't. You know what you want to do? Take a look at their results. Do you want their results? Because that's what their thinking is giving them. Do you want their thinking? I don't think so. When that was suggested to me, it started to become obvious. Strange thing, we asked our relatives, our next door neighbor, what do you think, Harry? Do you think I should? Harry will say, it'll never work, forget it. Go to someone who's made it work. Ask them. They'll say, no, this information's right. You see, right now, as I'm speaking and you're listening, there's a power that's flowing to and through you. It's pure, unadulterated energy, pure, unadulterated spirit. It flows to and through you. It's what you're made out of. You can literally photograph the energy leaving your body. Back in 1934, Semyon Kurlian perfected a form of photography that was so powerful you can penetrate this. The energy is so powerful, it'll penetrate the camera, penetrate the film, and you can actually photograph it. And as you change your thoughts, you change the vibration you're in, so the color and this density of this energy changes. You're a living dynamo. Hold your hand up and look at it just for a moment. Do you know that there's approximately 11 million kilowatt hours per pound potential energy locked up in the electrons in the atoms of your body? We've known that since the 50s. There's so much more to you than appears on the surface. Understand this. Your conscious mind can dream. It has fantasy factor in it. Build the picture of what you want. You can accept or reject all ideas that will not help you get it. Only accept the ideas that will help you get it. Keep building the picture clear. Rewrite it, redream it. Then get emotionally involved. And let yourself, let is the key word. You don't try, you let yourself get emotionally involved. Become aware of how you feel. Because as you let yourself get emotionally involved, you change the vibration you're in. Feeling is a word we invented to describe our conscious awareness of the vibration we're in. A person says, I don't feel very good. They're consciously aware they're in a bad vibration. They're emotionally involved with a bad idea. A person says, I feel like $1,000,000. They're consciously involved in a very positive idea. They're emotionally involved. Let yourself get emotionally involved with your goal. Dream it. Every time you eat, hook it into things you're doing. Every time you turn on the keys of the car, okay? Every time you sit down at a table, let the idea of your mind flash on the screen of your mind of what you want, but feel it, feel it. It's the repetition of planting the idea in the subconscious mind that is the trick. It's the idea that's planted that is the desire. Way back in religious, they say, desire comes from the Latin, deicere, to give birth to the children. Your ideas are your children. Don't let them be stillborn. Feed them often, feed them every day. Stay emotionally involved with that idea. Don't listen to anybody that tell you why you can't. Only listen to people that tell you how you can. All things are possible. We don't have to be very bright today to really buy into that. Look at the technology we've got today. Look at the modes of transportation. You know, it's just a little over 100 years ago that the Wright brothers got that plane off the ground. Somebody said, yeah, but they were only up there for 14 seconds. That wasn't their attitude. They said, we not only got it up there, we kept it up there for 14 seconds. And look at today, we're flying off to other planets. Progress has been phenomenal. There's the breakthrough. Make this the breakthrough of your family, of your friends, of everyone you work with. They'll follow you. Share it with them. Willingly give, graciously receive. It's a secret for living. But understand desire is the idea that's properly planted in the subjective mind, that's attempting to express itself through action. You see, it's the idea in there that causes the body to act. It not only causes the body to act, dictates the vibration the body's in, that dictates what you attract. See, action and reaction are equal and opposite. That's a law of the universe. Emerson said, Ralph Waldo Emerson said, that's the law of laws. Why? Because that's the way everything works. Action, reaction, the law of cause and effect. When you act, when you send your thoughts out, when you send your feelings out, when you send your actions into the universe reacts in a like manner. A lot of people refer to that as the law of attraction. Law of attraction is a secondary law. The primary law is the law of vibration. Get in the right vibration, you don't have any ever concern with what you're going to attract. You will attract everything that's required for the manifestation of the image. Andrew Carnegie made that very clear. He said, any idea, now listen carefully, any idea that is held in the mind, that's emphasized, that's either feared or revered, will begin at once to clothe itself in the most convenient and appropriate form available. Emotional involvement with your want is the desire. That's where it happens. Now, when the paradigm tries to reject it, you've got to override the paradigm. The paradigm's going to give you ideas in your conscious mind to knock the want out and tell you why you can't. Your paradigm's giving you what you've got, and that's what you don't want. Go after what you do want. Get emotionally involved. Emotional involvement with what you want is the desire. And it's the repetition of being emotionally involved with what you want that fixes a desire in your subjective mind. Then it's automatically working in your favor. But understand this, clearly understand this. The results you're getting are an expression of what you've desired in the past. Most people see desire as a positive concept. It can be both. What did Carnegie say? Any idea that's held in the mind, that's emphasized, that's either feared or revered, will begin at once to clothe itself in the most convenient and appropriate form available. Subjective mind is totally deductive. It has no inductive reasoning capacity. It can only accept what you give. And if you're worried, that can turn into the desire. If you're thinking negative thoughts, that turns into the desire. We must override all that. We're operating with understanding. People don't desire what they don't want consciously and deliberately. They're doing it because of ignorance. They don't understand. That's where I lived for 26 years. As I started to understand, I changed it. And when I found out, I build a picture of what I want. Doesn't matter how it's going to happen, it'll happen. Then I get emotionally involved. And I stay emotionally involved. It's the emotional involvement with the want that becomes the desire. Want more. Want better. This is going to make you a better person. It's going to make you a better life. You're already beyond the scope of imagination with beauty and talent and power. What ideas have been clothing themselves in your world? Take a look at your results. If they're not what you want, change them. If you're seeing something you don't want, build an image of its polar opposite, what you do want. One thing I learned when I first started, getting out of debt is a bad goal. Because if you're trying to get out of debt, you're thinking debt, and you're going to attract more of the same. Forget the debt. Focus on prosperity. See yourself as a person that attracts it. I have an affirmation. I'm so happy and grateful now that money comes to me through multiple sources on a continuous basis. Think, I am so happy and grateful now that money comes to me through multiple sources on a continuous basis. That's the way it's working. That's the way it's working. Build the desire. Plant the idea in your subconscious mind. You're going to find the action, the attraction, it'll all happen because desire is the cause. So if you've got someone who just doesn't seem to have the desire, help them make a decision they're going to go after what they want. Most people don't. If you have employees, guarantee you, they don't know what they want. The truth is, they don't know they can have anything they want. If you're managing people, understand this. Management's not the direction of things. Management is a development of people. If you're going to develop people, your own children, anybody, you've got to find out what they want. You'll never motivate anybody if you're talking to them about something they don't want. You'll never build a desire to do something you don't want to do. It's got to be what you want. Want is the prerequisite. Want is the preamble to all growth. What do you want? Lincoln dreamed of freedom for the black slaves, put his dream into action, and barely missed living to see a united North and South translate his dream into reality. Marconi dreamed of a system for harnessing the intangible forces of the ether. Evidence that he did not dream in vain may be found in every wireless and radio in the world. Moreover, Marconi's dream brought the humblest cabin and the most stately manor house side by side. It made the people of every nation on earth backdoor neighbors. Helen Keller became deaf, dumb, and blind shortly after birth. Despite her greatest misfortune, she has written her name indelibly in the pages of history of the great. Her entire life has served as evidence that no one ever is defeated until defeat has been accepted as a reality. Beethoven was deaf. Milton was blind. But their names will last as long as time endures because they dreamed and translated their dreams into organized thought. A burning desire to be and to do is the starting point from which the dreamer must take off. The wonderful thing about these 13 principles is that each person will discover their own unique way to use them. They're the best tools you're ever going to find. And now, we're going to take a personalized look at exactly how you will do that. After each segment, I'm going to ask you to write down the principle. And underneath that, write down the very first thing that comes to your mind about how you can implement that principle in your life. So let's start with desire. Get out your notebook. Write desire in capitals at the top of the page. And then I'm going to use this principle of desire in the following way. And then finish that sentence in your notebook. Don't overthink it. Just tune into your own powerful intuition and record on paper what comes to you. Do it now.